And more market chatter with a special focus on who is going to be announced as the victor on May 23rd. Let's invite Sandeep Upadhyay, the Managing Director for Infrastructure Advisory at Centrum Capital. Hi. Thanks so much for joining us in Antara in New Delhi. If you look at the exit polls, it looks like Narendra Modi is going to be announced as the victor on May 23rd. He will once again be heading the cabinet. So with respect to infrastructure, in the last 5 years, yes, this is a government that has spoken a lot about infrastructure, has tried to do a lot for the infrastructure space. Nitin Gadkari often, humored for saying that his road budget is more than the annual budget that is announced by the Central Exchequer in Parliament. But having said that, it's going to be a trying time for infrastructure also soon after May 23rd. Because of the election season, maybe we've not seen the INFS and the NBFC crisis being tackled head on. How worried are you market people about that? That, while the government may be committed to infrastructure, where's the money going to come from?
Good afternoon, Narendra. Thanks for having me on your channel. I think largely we see that given the strong mandate, and if we were to believe that the actual mandate is going to come in line with what the exit poll says, we'll certainly see that there is a continuity of momentum in sectors like roads, urban infrastructure, renewables, logistics, storage, etc. Government obviously has given a report card in the last budget boasting about 30 kilometers per day kind of a construction rate, doing almost 5 times of the renewable capacity in the last 4 to 5 years. I think the biggest challenge, as you rightly pointed out, still continues to be on the financing side. The biggest challenge that we see on the development side is in terms of getting infusion for the greenfield projects. Island FS, the crisis that you talked about, has not done any good to the sector. So immediately, I think what needs to be tackled by the government is to get some of these policies to have robust financing back in place. In the last 5 years, the major part of the capacity addition which has been funded actually has happened on the government's balance sheet. And I think one of the top priorities for the government, once for the NDA government to come back, would be essentially to get the private sector investment back on track.
In fact, it is the private sector which has really been very, very sticky and stubborn, if I could call it that, when it comes to not boosting investments. Now, I know that manifestos are supposed to only be seen in election season. They do have an expiry date from that perspective. Do political parties deliver what their track record is? Having said that, the BJP did talk a lot about its infrastructure push. It talks about being a world leader in e-mobility. It wants to be have viable rail tracks to be broad gauge by 2022. It's talked about a massive railway station modernization program, double the length of national highways by 2022. Of course, all of this they're just promises. A lot of them may not even be feasible if you look at the kind of date that you have in 2022. But what, according to you, will be the priority areas within the infrastructure bucket if the exit polls are turned out to be right?
Well, like I said, I think roads and urban infrastructure should get the biggest push. Even in the last 5 years, the work that has been done on the road sector actually is commendable, given that we had so many limitations around the financing, for these projects. Again, renewables continues to be a very, very buoyant sector, one of the few segments within infrastructure which actually has a very positive momentum and perception from the financial investors. So I see a continuity of momentum also in renewables. And given that, we are far lagging in the logistics infrastructure, especially in the warehousing and the storage space, I think that is one area. In India, the logistics cost is more than 14%. I think this should actually come down to about 8 to 10%, for which massive amount of investments are required in the logistics sector itself. And I think these are the areas that the government should be pushing for.
Right, Sandeep. Thanks so much for taking our time for us.